first I go out into the landscape and take my own photographs. And then I bring those photographs back into my studio and get them all together, figure out different compositional elements from all of the different photographs to create the ultimate landscape that you see in the piece. The reason why I ended up etching into plexiglass is basically because of an accident that occurred when shipping really minimal work of mine. So it was actually a mistake. It was one of those like happy accidents, which is I was working really minimally. I was actually using a wood burner to draw on white paper. And so I was just cutting holes into the paper, burning it, and sometimes just an X-Acto knife. And I had a show in Ireland and I shipped all the work. And there was one really minimal piece that got damaged in shipping. And so there was like a line on the frame. And then I realized I totally didn't need the paper at all. I kind of just like driving out to the middle of nowhere. Sometimes it's really nice as an artist to incorporate things that you like doing in your artistic practice, because then it just becomes part of your life. So I kind of like just getting into like a four-wheel drive car and going like off the grid into the middle of nowhere. So the plexiglass is a cast plexiglass. That means it won't yellow over time, as opposed to an extruded plexiglass. The edges are polished, so they're finished in a specific way so that it gives it like a glassy feeling, and also the thickness tends to be about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, which makes it feel a little bit more like an object. It gives us a certain level of presence. I put some black paper down, and then I put the plexiglass down, and then I just have a really sharp point that I use to make a drawing. So it's a traditional drawing process, and when I scratch on the plexiglass, it looks white, and I actually light the edge of the piece, so it actually lights up like a fiber optic. Then I do everything in reverse, so everything that I see is opposite of what the final result is, because everything looks white, and ultimately when I light it, it casts a shadow, so everything that looks white becomes dark, and everything is etched on the inside, except occasionally sometimes I do a little bit of detail on the outside afterwards. And so everything has to be done in reverse. And so after I work on the black piece of paper, I lift the piece up vertically and put a light on it, and so then I work upright on the piece to do the finishing touches. So this piece depicts a traditional pilgrimage route in New Mexico, which is from Nambe to Chimayo. And in that pilgrimage route, pilgrims go to Chimayo to collect holy dirt, which is at the Santuario de Chimayo. And the dirt is said to have healing powers, and so people come long distances, and the Santuario is filled with people's crutches and all kinds of materials that have been discarded because they have received the miracles of the holy dirt. And so this is part of the pilgrimage route to get to the holy dirt. This piece is a landscape that's off the coast of Maine and New Hampshire, part of the Isles of Shoals. Basically, it follows a ghost story, which is the story of Blackbeard's wife, the pirate. Apparently, he had left his last wife on the island, and she was worried about being left in the middle of nowhere. And so he said that the reason that she would know that he would always come back was that he would leave his treasure there. And so he got killed off the coast of the Carolinas, and the ghost story is there's a figure that is waiting for his return, and some people even hear her saying he will come again. And then as it turns out, silver ingots started washing up along the shore, and so there's a bit of factual evidence that actually Blackbeard did leave his treasure there. So it's a combination of this sort of mythology ghost story and actual truth. So this is an image from the Black Hole, which was a surplus store in Los Alamos, New Mexico. And basically, the surplus store contains artifacts from our country's nuclear era. And so a lot of the items that can be found there were used in Los Alamos National Labs during the construction of the atomic bomb. So this one is also from the Black Hole in Los Alamos, New Mexico. This is outside the Black Hole. So like there's this big warehouse that's filled with all kinds of detritus from our nuclear testing age. But there are also these like weird big pieces of equipment that are in the parking lot just kind of sitting there. So this is, this is the outside with some of like Los Alamos scenery in the background. This image here is where Blackbeard's treasure washed up on shore. A guy named Samuel Haley found it and built the breakwater, which created Gosport Harbor with the silver ingots that he found. And so this ship on the horizon is actually imaged off of Blackbeard's traditional ship that he was using at the time. All of this dense area in the foreground is seaside goldenrod, which is just a common weed that grows all along the shoreline on these islands.